for his
All
red pill
right.
moments.
All right. So here is my list of red pill moments. I just can't make this shorter. I'm so sorry. All right. Larkin Rose was debating Tom Willicott. And when Tom Willicott said, Larkin, you think I just don't trust people. I'm sorry. I just don't trust people. So I'm not an anarchist. And Larkin Rose goes, what species do you want running the government? Uh, the media's reaction to the Muslim ban versus Trump's actually bombing innocent Muslims. Why would they care so much about a ban? Well, because the bombing also applies to their cult members, Barack and Hillary. I'm like, that was just unbelievable to me. How they can get mad about a ban, but not the bombing. Incredible. Larkin Rose also said that gangs and mafias exist mostly because of state prohibition. When you look at Al Capone, um, uh, being successful because he was selling black market things such as moonshine and liquor. It's like, we're so terrified of if there's no government, there will be gangs. The number one cause of gangs is the state prohibition and black markets. Same things with drugs today. Milton Friedman said to a college student who was just so terrified of monopolies arising. He said, yeah, the best way to fight monopolies is to embrace universal free trade. So you increase competition and consumers get the most amount of selection for products and services. Thought that was a great point. David Friedman, in a Reason magazine interview, said, I agree, food, water, clothing, shelter, those things we all agree are best provided by markets. We all meaning the anarchists and the minarchists. He just says, but for the same reason, I believe law, police, and courts should also be privately funded and should face competition. And putting those things so close together just showed me what in principle is different about the things the state controls, that there needs to be coercive funding and it needs to be a monopoly. I thought that was a great point. The gender pay gap myth that is still persisting today. There's just a show on Netflix where they say, let's talk about the gender pay gap. So it's fabricated, doesn't account for different jobs, doesn't account for number of hours worked. And I'm like, how can everyone not see through this? And it just goes to show you there can be a big, easily provable lie that you don't even need stats. You can just think, wouldn't companies just hire women and not men, lower their costs by 30% and put their competitors out of business? Also, um, a lot of attention is put on white people being racist, white people calling the cops on blacks for no reason, white supremacy being loud and being a pattern and a big problem. However, black on white crime is 27 times higher than white on black. So when I'd gone through my whole life feeling guilty about being white and being part of the group that enslaved another group, I also found out between 28 and 42% of freed blacks were slave owners before 1865. So that was a big moment for me. Another one was Obamacare was written by the insurance companies. When Ron Paul said that, I go, no, nope, this guy lost me. There's no way I would have heard about this. Oh my God, it's true. Another thing, so this is generally called regulatory capture. Citigroup also sent Barack Obama a list of who should be in his administration. All those people got in. That was a WikiLeaks. Also, the head of the FDA, Michael Taylor, was the head of Monsanto. Hank Paulson, Secretary of the Treasury, also CEO of Goldman Sachs. Ron Paul getting more military donations than all other Republicans combined, and plus Barack Obama. Dave Smith just mentioned that the other day. This is not political, but I had an all-nighter on a school night with a friend, and my mom was so terrified about me missing school the next day, and oh, don't I need sleep, and am I getting my homework done? And I'm just thinking, like, that's such a trivial concern, considering I was talking this guy out of suicide, and it just goes to show me, like, you really can't have any values when your mind is just, this is the way things are, this is the way they should have to be. That it was so much to that point where she's like, I don't even care why you're having an all-nighter with him. Robert Higgs in The State is Too Dangerous to Tolerate, saying cops are not bad because the Eric Garner footage or the Philando Castile footage, they're inherently bad because there are immoral laws which they have all taken an oath to uphold. So it's not like In order to refute cops are bad, I need to see a ton of videos where they're doing good things. They're inherently bad. They would never go up to a drug dealer and say, well, drug dealers are mostly good, so we're not going to arrest him. Or they wouldn't say, well, the drug dealer's just doing his job, so we're not going to arrest him. The minimum wage, obviously, hurting people with the least amount of skills, least amount of experience, hurting smaller business, putting big business competitors out of business, sweatshops being the best alternative for third world countries and outlawing them leads to further poverty, starvation, and prostitution. Price gouging is a great incentive to bring products and services into an area where they're needed. The case against monopoly. Monopolies are bad, so we need the government to regulate them. Well, the government wants a monopoly on AR-15s. They want the Federal Reserve monopoly. They want a monopoly on taxation. They want a monopoly on compulsory education. So that's an incredible lie. The Church of Satan got into a fight with me on Twitter saying, we never break the law. Look, we're totally in compliance with legality. And I'm thinking Satanists who like Satan, the rebellious figure against God, they're okay with rebelling against God, but not the state. They openly say, screw you, God, screw you, creator. But government, we are so on your page. Like, look, here it is. Here's the proof. Ben Shapiro said, more freedom leads to more voluntary transactions, which are more mutually beneficial, which is why free societies create wealth. Hans Hoppe's examples of North Korea versus South Korea and East Germany versus West Germany being real examples of why freedom is superior to state control. Obama funding and arming ISIS to fight Assad was a big one in Operation Timber Sycamore. This is what Rand Paul brought up to Marco Rubio. He goes, this is happening. To which Marco Rubio responds, so you're backing Assad, the man who uses chemicals against his own people? Nonsense. The fact that there's a Bilderberg meeting, a Bohemian Grove meeting, and a Skull and Bones Society, two of which members ran against each other for president in 2004, and the media is flipping out about, ooh, the Oscars, is Kevin Hart going to host? Who's not going to host? This is a big event. And they never report on Bohemian Grove or Bilderberg. Also, the principle voluntarily funded competition is superior to coercively funded monopoly. That exists in all sectors. Lou Rockwell saying, minarchists, I love you, but isn't it easier to convince the public something they learn in kindergarten, don't hit, don't steal, and apply it to this group called government? Isn't that easier than, all right, we want a small government. Now, here's why there shouldn't be farm subsidies, minimum wage, education subsidies. The question, is it true that there is no truth? Mr. Postmodernist or whoever believes that truth is non-existent. So that's a great provable contradiction. Free will is another one that Molyneux gets into. That's probably for another time. But he basically says if people don't have free will and there's a ball coming to your friend's head, do you say, ball, get out of the way? Or do you say, person, get out of the way? This is big because people will often use free will to defer blame and accountability. And then finally, my last one, thank you for letting me go on. Geraldo Rivera had a segment on Fox News where he showed the troops guarding the poppy fields, and there's actual footage of it. And I'm like, okay, mainstream media is reporting on this and there aren't absolute outcries. Isn't this what the suspicion's about? Government invades people to, get resources, and, the government has to do with bringing drugs and protecting drug dealers. Well, look at this. What the hell is this? If we do that, they cage us. If they do it, they go, hey, how's your poppy field growing? So that's a great thing to look up, Geraldo Rivera on the Afghan poppy field.